All right, hi everybody. John Meadows here, back with. Do you remember this guy? Of course you do. You know that our chest video is my most viewed video on my channel. Did you know that?
Wow.
You have made me some money. I just want you to know that.
That's all right. Well, you also probably gained a lot of great fans out there. I think chest training is probably one of the most searched videos on YouTube. Either people want big arms or they want a big chest.
I think that's a pretty safe bet. That's what we're seeing too.
So that was about 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Okay.
So speaking of chest and arms, we're gonna do arms today. So you'll get Jay's feelings on training arms and mine as we go. So let's get to work. We're here in, what city are we in? Westerville. We're in Westerville. Great guys here, Next Level Fitness.
Yeah, so we'll bring it in. John's going to show me the ropes a little bit. We always kind of bounce off each other and we say, you're going to show me, I'm going to show you. But what's good about what he's been doing behind the scenes is his popularity has continued to grow even further since we shot the last video, which is awesome. Training a lot of the top people. You had some great results in the Olympia last year.
Last year's Olympia went really well.
So it was awesome. It's good to see, and good things happen to good people. So sit down and listen.
I noticed you lean forward on these a little bit too.
I like to kind of hook the triceps. I'll sometimes do them on my knees just because it feels better for me, but it gives me a little better contraction. I think I get a better stretch here when I'm down.
Get that hand up so you can stretch. 250?
Yeah.
I'm about 214, 215.
Yeah. I don't try to be any kind of weight, so.
The only reason I know is because I weighed myself like 2 weeks ago. I don't ever.
Jay, 290.
You're trying to look better, so don't think the big weights. All right, so arm training with my least favorite body part to train, and you probably know why. Always just repetitive stuff, right? There's nothing. I never really challenged myself as much on arm training because, we all have somewhat. I don't consider myself an ego trainer, but I think when we train, we still like to challenge ourselves, right? So I know with arms, what I found for me is it was one of my hardest body parts to build. I wasn't blessed with the biggest arms to start with. So what I had to learn was it wasn't about how much weight I used for triceps or biceps. It seemed like it was focused on more of a contraction. So I believe arms, where I sometimes would say 8 to 12 repetitions is constant for most other body parts. I think arms is 12 to 15 is how I always like doing, unless I was doing heavy dumbbell curls for biceps. But it's just very repetitive, so I get very bored with arm training. So if I was, the days when I put arms together like bis and tris, I tried to switch them and do them with other body parts because otherwise I'd be bored during that. If I said, okay, Wednesday's my arm day, I'd be bored.
I understand. I used to, when I tried to go with it, just get tendonitis all the time.
Well, it was I always had to have work done on my forearms or whatever else, but it's still to this day, it's still my least favorite body part to train. How many sets here, John?
We did the 4, right?
This is good for the elbows. Warm the elbows up a little bit.
The way I usually teach arm training, Jay, is I tell people to start with push down. So anything overhead or skull crushers, save that for the end if you want to save your elbows. That's kind of just my general first level.
Yeah.
Get your elbows warmed up before you start doing that stuff.
I tend to grab back a little bit on the handle, so I don't know why. It just feels better when they're a little further back. My arms are. It allows me to cap the triceps a little more, and it's just something I've always kind of done, even when I'm doing body weight dips and that kind of stuff. So, where a lot of people will grab the handles at the edge. I tend to come back more to keep the arms deeper behind my body so I can really, really just focus on the triceps. I think it depends on people's shoulders, how their rotation is.
What's your thoughts on locking out on an exercise like this?
I mean, listen, I feel like this is lockout to me. I don't know what it looks like on the camera. Like, that was probably one of the biggest comments I would get when I train is, hey, you looks like your repetitions are more, they're shorter rep ranges. But I was actually feeling the contraction of each one of those reps. And for me, I feel like I'm totally locked out, but it probably doesn't look like that on a camera.
I can totally relate. That's the same thing that goes through my mind. Like, and that's probably why, one of the many reasons why you're a great bodybuilder. If you think about it, the mind-muscle connection is so established, right?
Yeah, so what's visual sometimes isn't necessarily what's happening with the exercise inside with that person. And listen, everyone's going to be different.
We got that question a lot when we did chest. You know, should you guys lock out?
Yeah.
We were talking about, well, the tension feels really good. It feels like that.
Well, it's like when people come up and they think they come up and they touch the dumbbells because that's full extension, but as you know, it's bringing in the triceps. So my focus, whenever I train a body part, just like we talked about in chest training, was that when I do a body part, I'm solely, okay, how can I isolate that body part and not bring anything else in, which is almost an impossibility. As you know, we train just like working our core. We're gonna get a lot of core work, but I'm still isolating that muscle as much as possible.
Oh man, I feel that chest workout.
Yeah, I feel everything right now. My legs, my chest, my arms.
Is this the last set, John?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we did 4 sets again. Same rep range. People usually ask about rest breaks. What do you think about rest breaks?
I mean, my goal is you go, I go. I mean, I know we're training with 3, but you go, I go. So I think about 45 seconds. We talked about this before. 60 seconds would be my max, unless I was training like crazy legs or whatever, but it would be mostly 45 to 60 seconds.
Yep.
So by the time you go, I go, it's about the right time. So you're dropping the flat part of the dumbbell kind of on the front delt.
Yep. Instead of coming back, it's just giving us a stretch right here.
But you're not pausing it and dropping it on. You're not taking the tension off, correct?
Yes, correct. Just good tension.
All right. So my grip is like this, right? Right grip here. Yeah. So like this, right?
Yep. And then instead of coming this way, it's just more keep the tension by coming straight up. Yeah, right there. Yep. And by dropping it right here, see how it's opening up your tricep right there?
I could go a little heavier for sure if we have the dumbbells.
Yeah, we just seated or I always kind of like to get the feel. Anytime I'm going to do extension, say let's go a little light, get some reps in, then we pick up the weight.
12 reps?
Yep.
One thing I've been super protective of over the years is my elbows, so I make sure that I'm not a directly into compound movement type guy, so I do like to do a lot of pre-exhaust, even with shoulders. Like I always did side laterals before I went to heavy presses, and I really like I would say I've done rope press downs first through my whole career.
Yep.
My elbows are great. I have no elbow pain whatsoever.
Yeah, something like this would be late in the workout, like once your elbows are warmed up. I remember when I was in my early 20s, my elbows were always all swollen and inflamed, and like all the guys back then, they were all walking into the gym, loading up an easy bar, 245 each side, doing skull crushers, and like, I mean, they looked awesome, but man, boy, that took its toll on my elbows. That's what I saw when I started, when I was 13, 14 years old. That's what all the big dudes were doing, so I thought, well, that must be the way to do it. And then 23, 24 years old, my elbows were sticking out, all swollen all the time, and some things you just learn the hard way, right?
Yeah. See, I never used any kind of wrapping or anything like that on my elbows. Just never trained that way.
Yeah. Well, being as healthy as you are, I mean, that's pretty rare. I mean, to put in 30 years of training and be that healthy. I competed in my first show when I was 13 years old. And that was in 1985. And my last show was in 2017. So, how many years is that? 32? 32 years of competing?
So August 3rd of this year is exactly 30 years that I started training.
Okay.
Yeah, 30 years.
Okay. When you were like in your first 2 or 3, we'll say 5 years, did you feel like you kind of knew everything and then you went into a phase where you were like, oh crap, there's a lot more to this than I thought?
I was kind of fortunate because I used to pick up scrap magazines in the gym and I'd watch guys train. And as you know, watching people in the gym train, not always the correct way, right? I got linked up with Chris Aceto when I was 6 months into training. So he really was a big advocate of the volume training, time under tension type thing, and just kind of, I used to ask him, like, even for like back movements, like, do I do pull-ups or do I do bent rows? He's like, focus on the pull-ups, you'll grow, the inside will get developed as you continue to get older, right? Because it's like you can't develop a super thick back when you're 6 or a year into training, right? It takes a while to build that density. I always said, I built the width and then I built the density front to back. So when you turned, like how thick you were this way, that's years of training where anyone can be wide standing, but when you turn to the side, everything disappears, right? And that's what time is. So I learned a lot, but it took me, listen, I trained calves every day for trial and error. I did arms every day when my arms weren't growing. Like, I was one of these people that tried every routine, and I found that, you know, training a body part once every 5 to 7 days just worked best for me. I couldn't do it. I couldn't train twice a week body parts.
Yeah.
Ronnie did it, Phil Heath did it, I couldn't do it.
Yeah. That was hard for me to pull off too, man. It was always like 5, 6 days. Two more.
Let's go.
One more. Ooh, this got heavy.
A little too much?
Yep, a little bit. So we did 30, 40, 35 would have been about right. I still felt good. That was a little bit. That might be perfect for you, actually. Textbook form right there. He does these one time, his form's better than mine already. Nice. So you guys watching that, Jay's never done this before. He walks in his first time. He does this with better form than I do. That's one of the things I think that makes a great bodybuilder, is someone that just intuitively understands just the way to move your body. Like, a lot of people really struggle with this, and you just naturally like.
Yeah, it's all by feel. Like when I feel something like this, I actually feel a lot. It's kind of funny because we were talking about we're kind of bouncing the exercises off. Like, okay, what do you think's next? And I think we're thinking the same thing. And it's like I always think about doing something like this, like a dip movement and then something overhead extension. And we talked about the bar. I'm not, like to this day, I don't do as much cambered bar overhead presses just because I'm still trying to protect my elbows. Even though I don't have elbow pain, I'm still trying to protect it.
Yeah.
So this just feels better to me.
Yeah.
It's less restrictive. I mean, it's just like barbell bench pressing. I'll stick to dumbbells all day long.
Yeah.
So.
So when you were, let me ask you this, when you were a teenager, I've seen pictures of you 18, 19 years old. When you were 18, 19 years old, was your life, Jay, was it bodybuilding or was it just something you were just good at? Was it more of a hobby for you or were you, were you zoned in?
Like, you know, you mentioned 13, you competed. I picked up books at 12 and I studied. And I bought Bob Harris's book Beyond Built at 16 from GNC. And I knew I wanted to be a bodybuilder, I just didn't know how to go about doing it. So I knew that reading about the meals you had to eat each day, and I was eating donuts for breakfast every morning in high school and not eating the food, I knew that I had to be on a strict diet. So that's why I zoned in and said I'm gonna start training on August 3rd, 1991. So I joined the Gold's Gym, and that's the day I started the journey on like, I wanna be a professional bodybuilder. And then of course, you know, I competed against Branch Warren, won the Teen Nationals.
Teen Nationals, that's right, yeah, I remember that.
And then I got to travel to California for the first time slightly after that show, the year that Chris Cormier won the USA, 93. It was a huge stacked lineup. And I walked in Gold's Venice for the first time and I looked around and I said, I'm gonna be a pro bodybuilder for sure.
And that was 93?
I knew. That was 93, that was July of 93.
Okay, all right.
And the second was Mike Francois on that show.
Yeah, it was Flex in there?
No, he had won the year prior.
He won the year prior, yeah. So that's when Mike was coming up and he came up fast.
Yeah, so Mike was second. Third was, I think, Paul DeMeo. Fourth was Craig Titus. Fifth was this guy, Ken Castagnoli.
Yeah, from Florida, Kenny. Yeah, I remember all those guys.
Dennis Newman was seventh in that class.
Yep. Dennis was good friends with John Perillo, and I was training with Perillo back then.
I think he was contracted with the supplements, I think, at that point.
Yeah, so that was, man, there were some great bodybuilders.
You know, the status that I reached, it's unimaginable when you first start, because you're starting as a kid and you're looking at your idols, and then eventually, you know, those idols maybe you compete against or you know, even beat at certain points, right?
Yeah, I teased Sean Roden. I beat Sean Roden in the 2002 Nationals, and so I'm the rightful Mr. Olympia. Yeah. Somebody beat me once, and they're always talking about it on the YouTube channel. I beat John Meadows. I'm like, well, if I played that game, I beat Sean Roden once.
That was the first year I won the Arnold, though, too.
Yeah. All right, do you want to do more, or do you want to do a fourth exercise? Or?
Yeah, let's do one more exercise. Here.
Okay, what you think for a fourth exercise? Any preference? The sequence that Jay talked about, like, we've done a lot of videos, and it's so funny because that's our sequence. It's push down variations, it's dip variations, and it's things.
Yeah, what I would probably prefer is to do like a kickback, something like this, like a cable.
Okay.
Like maybe like a handle to that. Maybe
okay,
like
cool.
3 sets there or something.
All right, let's do it. All right. What year did you guys win nationals?
2001.
So 2001, I'm at the nationals. First of all, they used to call us, you know, heavyweights line up, light heavyweights line up. They call heavyweights. I line up. I'm feeling pretty good about myself. Then I look about 2 people in front of me. Who do I see? Him. So immediately my heart would drop. And then, well, actually even before that, they called the light heavyweights up. And I see him. I'm like, that's a light heavyweight? If that's what a light heavyweight looks like, I'm in trouble. So anyways, here's the story. So we're backstage. You win the show, but you know what I remember the most? You and I had the same pair of sweatpants on. I was like, hey, I may not look like him, but I got the same pair of sweatpants on. I had never, ever forgot that. I swear to God. My cheap pants I got, I was like, that's the same pants Branch is wearing.
Yeah, I can't be doing anything wrong there.
I cannot. I never forgot that, man. No kidding.
What sweatpants were they? Do you remember?
They were from Kohl's. And they were blue with a white stripe.
Were they, do you remember?
And I'm sitting there looking at him, I'm like, I'm sure he knows a
I
tricep.
can't remember what I wore yesterday. Must have 20 years ago.
It's the little things you remember.
That's
man.
right. Yeah,
It's the little
absolutely.
things.
You're
That's right
absolutely
about that.
Actually, it's a 2000 USA. I got fourth. I came back the next year feeling pretty good about myself. Same deal. You're in front of me, and Troy Albus is behind me.
Oh,
And
wow.
Troy's in shape. I was like, well, I'm already down to third, so I can only go from fourth to third. But anyways, that's what you got.
Got third.
Third,
Yeah.
Troy got second, and Tavita won.
Right.
Yeah. So man, I never forget
that.
that. I never
Good old
forget
days.
that. I never forget those days, man. In the USA, where you won.
It almost was more fun than less pressure. When you turn pro and everything gets involved, everything it gets serious.
Everything's fun until it gets serious.
Yeah.
You know, until there's money thrown in there, and it's
That
like,
was so
okay,
good.
this is my livelihood, and serious.
I know. That was so cool, though, man. You guys smoked the nationals that year.
What year did you win?
I didn't turn pro until 2015. Man. Yeah, and then I did place in my first 3 pro shows I played. And
That's crazy. I would have never thought that. That's
like
crazy.
2007.
Seriously.
Well, I kept
Yeah.
getting second,
Yeah, I remember.
over and over, and then kind of once I broke through.
I've been there, done that a couple times.
Yeah, you were doing it in a little bigger show than I was. So. Which way did you go on this, Jay? This way or this way? This way?
You know what? It's funny. You guys doing tricep, and it reminded me when you did that. I remember seeing a video, and I don't watch workout videos, and I remember seeing a video that you were working out, you were doing triceps, doing the pull down bar, and you're like, your favorite one of tricep exercises go down and then press out, down. And so I tell everybody, I was like, hey, I seen Jay do this.
Yeah.
This is his favorite tricep workout.
Look, your
And I have,
triceps are still fucking popping up, bro.
You don't know if you lost any size, right? Are you gonna compete again? Don't fucking lie either.
No, I'm done. I'm done, right? Yeah.
So
I'm
he
done.
tried so hard to talk to me, and they're doing it with him last year.
Hell
I
yeah.
was like,
Why
hey,
is
doing
he
it, bro.
getting, bro? I know. How would you keep up with these? I know, but I mean, but you were training crazy like you guys normally did, right? Did you document it or not? Good to have that. How old are you now?
A few more scores goes for me, I'm sure.
That's you remember the triceps? I just remember how you ate.
All these dudes that go to Wendy's, the CEOs, all the CFOs, they all start having parties. Like 3 of them. I was at a corporate store, and corporation, and all these guys would get together, and they go to the they all start dropping that party.
All right, so what you'll notice on this is when I come down, I try to, there's not a lot of movement in the elbow, so everything kind of stays in that position, okay? Once I get locked in.
I love that you said that on TV.
All right, that's triceps. We appreciate it, man.
Always good, man. It's always good meeting up. I'm glad we come to town and do all this, and I always learn stuff doing these videos with you, because I hear a lot of rumblings out there about your training theories, and we talked about this the first video and how it kind of was very similar to mine. But I love what you're doing, and I love that you know, all these people are talking about it online. And you know, proper training is so important, especially in today's bodybuilding. And I say bodybuilding as a general term. Anyone that lifts weights, I consider bodybuilding, whether it's male, female, fitness competitor, doesn't matter. You have to learn proper form, how the body adapts, and of course rep schemes, tempo. We talked about rest periods. There's just so much that goes into it. It's not about just going to the gym and pounding weights. There's a lot of thought processes and a lot of thinking process that goes in every day. So, you know, when I leave the gym today, I'm already going to go through tomorrow's workout. So a lot of it's the mind to muscle connection on all aspects.
Yeah.
So I always appreciate it. We'll look forward to hanging out tomorrow, and shout out to all your people out there.
All right. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure, champ.
Until next time.
The guy that handles himself like a true champion, Jay, thank you very much. And we appreciate you guys watching the video. We'll see you next time.
Next time is legs.